and I'd like to welcome you again. Today's topic is a big topic. Actually, we could have a course on that topic. So today I just want to try to get these 4 main points for you. Okay. The first point is that, when you remember, is that we have a basic biological, psychological need for people. Just like we need oxygen or we need water, food. It's fundamental. It's not something optional. People need people. Right? So that is, we can survive very well without people. That's why we are here, right? That's why we reach out to make contact. The second important point is that relationship is a double-edged sword. It can create happiness for you. It can also create hell for you. And we know that relational trauma, we can be traumatized by people close to us, by parents, by spouse, by your closest friend. Relational trauma has become an epidemic. So many people are in a horrible relationship. So many. So we'll see how we avoid that. Okay? The third point I want to make is that we have to ask ourselves, what really matters in your life? Is it people, or possession, or position, or power? We have to really settle what's wrong in our own mind, that we have to come to the conclusion that people matter most. That if you cannot grasp this basic concept, then you have problems in life. So people matter more than possession, more than health. And the last one, I'm talking about some basic, simple ways to make relationships better. Okay? So these are the 4 main points. Okay, and all the PowerPoint will be on INPM.org. So you don't have to copy it, you can just download it. Now here, we'll make with each other. Now when a baby was first born, the baby was utterly helpless. The baby cannot survive without a mother, without a parent. So if the baby develop a secure attachment with the caretaker, with the mother, it will benefit the child, the brain development, health development, and adult relationship. But on the other hand, if there was no secure attachment formed during childhood, the person will have problem in adult relationship. Because not only brain development suffer, but the child will carry the emotional burden of relational problem in childhood. When you get older, you also need a partner that you can, for companion. When a teenager, you need a friend more than your parents, right? And also the lifespan. We need other people. Yeah? Now we are social animals, right? We're considered as herd animals. Yeah? With elephant, fish, and wolf pack. and human as a species are basically social animals. I mean, you can see that, the social media and the iPhone, people walk around like a zombie, like they actually connect with somebody all the time, right? So there are all kinds of meetup groups. Okay? So because we are social animals, we really can't do away with people. Now here's something. Some psychologists say, well, there's a basic anxiety of fear of alienation, of loneliness. Okay? Like we are afraid of death. We are afraid of loneliness. That's a basic fear, basic anxiety in all people. But fear and anxiety is actually the other side of the coin, our need for relationship, right? Because our need for relationship, so when that need is not met, we're so worried about that need is not being met. You follow me? So because need is primary, that need primary, so we're always worried about this need is not being met. When that need is not being met, we will not be happy. We will be in a bad mood. Right? Now here is Dan Siegel. He has published 2 books. One is called The Developing Mind. He provides often documents to show how the brain development interact with relationship to create healthy, happy human being. He point out all kinds of brain fibers that are related to cell development. For example, if a child has a secure attachment, or if you have a happy marriage relationship, the part of the brain that is responsible for interpersonal reaction will be well developed. If there's a relational deficit, there will also be a brain deficit in those areas that are responsible for relationship. Now here is another thing. Now this part we call dopamine pathway and serotonin pathway. Those are hormones. Okay. Now this part is the midbrain. Here is forebrain. The midbrain is hippocampus and amygdala. So this is the reward center, the pleasure center. Now do you know why you like chocolate? Do you like chocolate? When you eat chocolate, there is an increase in dopamine. Do you like cocaine? So when you consume cocaine, there's also an uptake of dopamine. Do you like to be in love? When you're in love, it also this dopamine. So you feel that you feeling, you feel that you are in seventh heaven, right? When in love. Okay? So dopamine is this reward center is closely related to relationship. We crave for relationship just like you crave for chocolate or crave for cocaine or crave for any kind of pleasure. Okay. Now this serotonin pathway is also important because it has with even processing a memory. For example, if you have high serotonin, you will see people as being loving each other. If it is low level, you don't see that. Okay? You don't see people being kind to each other. You perceive differently. Also, if you have high serotonin when you're in love, then you can't get rid of the thoughts about the person, right? Obsessed with the person. See? That has to do with that hormone. So both hormones are important for close relationship. Okay? And here is basically a summary. This work is based on Dr. Helen Fisher. She's very famous about the science of love, right? And so basically saying that the 3 stages of love. The first stage is lust. You're being driven by your sex hormone. Okay? The second stage is attraction. The dopamine and the serotonin are important. The last part is attachment. People feel close to each other. So those 2 hormones are involved in sexual intercourse. So sexual relationship is one important basis for being attached. If couples don't have sex, they're in trouble. Right? If there's no sex, this attachment part is weakened because So whenever you have sex relationship, these two hormones become very active. So you can always predict, but if husband and wife don't touch each other, you can predict the marriage will be on the rock. Okay, so there's 3 stages. Okay. Any questions so far? The sad part is that relationship is in bad relationship. It can kill you. It can destroy you. So this existential writer say hell is other people, because most of the hell we experience are from people, not from nature. Your bad boss, the bad coworker, your disobedient children, or the children controlling mother or father, unfaithful spouse. Most of the hell we experience are created by people that close to us. Your intention might be good, but you might create hell for that person. So this is what I keep in mind. Are we creating hell or heaven for those who care about? Your intention might be good, but can still create hell for other people. Now I come to this picture. Who is winning the fight? Who is the better position to win the battle? The male or female?
Still being negotiated.
I said they are called mutual destruction. Both will be fatally wounded.
Yes.
Reciprocal mutual destruction. You can fight like this, eventually kill each other. Okay. Now, what are the basic cause for interpersonal hell? What is the basic cause? The first one is so obvious. Self-centered pursuit. My needs have to be met first. You're not meeting my need. So therefore I'm going to find another woman, another man that meet my need. My need not being met. So I'm unhappy, I'm angry. So I'm not let you have a good time. I'll create hell for you. You might not articulate in so many words, but this is what you do. If you only concern about your own personal need, do not try to understand about your spouse, you get more and more angry, say, how come he doesn't meet my need? Oh. The second one is too much stress. Now we know that the brain, when the brain is in stress, in an arousal state, the brain mobilized to fight or flight, right? So when in that state, you'll be bad company. That's the way you're built, right? Your whole system is geared to fight or flight. You do not have the mood or energy to really for proper social engagement, for taking care of relationship. But when your brain at a resting stage, your brain is aroused, react to some emergency, or when you are in a safe environment. In a safe environment, your brain is in a relaxed state. Then the social part of the brain can active. You see what I mean? In time of emergency, the brain only have all energy to deal with emergency. But when you feel safe, the relational aspect of the brain can active. Then you're open. You'll be available for social engagement, for conversation, for understanding each other. So too much stress is bad for marriage. Too much stress It's bad for parenting, for any kind of relationship. Okay? So try to improve your relationship, you have to find a way to downtime. You have to find a way to manage your stress. The third one is failure in communication. We'll talk about that next slide. Okay? And fourth is bias and prejudice. You know that this is the tricky part. We all have a value system, a belief system based on our upbringing or culture. For example, about abortion. Some people are dead set against it. Some people are say, well, women have the right in terms of gay right or gay marriage. In the family split, even in my family, some of my relatives will not come to my son's wedding because he's gay, all right? So people are strongly believe in something. So therefore, if you do not believe the same thing I believe, then you're suspect. And the other research shown that when you're under duress, when you're threatened, your attitude, your hate towards the other group, to the people who are different from you, become stronger. Especially fundamental Christians. When are being threatened, the hostility towards non-Christians becomes stronger. And we have to watch out, okay, that in a multicultural society, in a postmodern society, we have to learn tolerance even towards people whose lifestyle and belief are different from ours. And one thing nice about the meetup is that people will help people. We welcome gay people. We welcome people from other religions, from different religions. So that's how people can relate to each other. Is that we are all human beings. We all belong to the same family, right?